Was she?
Senator Schiff,
was she
if
right?
you worked for me, you would have been fired because you were censured by Congress for lying with your
We can stipulate to, you can stipulate to all your personal attacks on the Democratic members of the committee.
Personal attacks? You've been attacking my FBI director. You've been attacking my office. You've been attacking.
But what we're interested in,
borders are.
What we're interested in is the answer to these oversight questions.
You want your,
so
no,
you were asked by my colleague. You were asked by my colleague.
Attacking good people.
Regular order, Madam Chair, so I can ask a question. You were asked by my colleague from Vermont.
Including President Trump for your entire career.
You can attack me later, and I know you've got plenty of canned attacks. We've heard them all day today.
Canned attacks on you?
This is supposed to be.
No one needs a canned attack on you.
Regular order, Madam Chair, I'm trying to speak. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing of the Justice Department. And it comes in the wake of an indictment called for by the president of one of his enemies. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing. This is, and now the current president.
What about the fires in California? Do you care about that, Senator Schiff?
This is supposed to be an oversight hearing in which members of Congress can get serious answers to serious questions about
Are the riots in LA serious?
Adam Schiff walked into that hearing thinking he could rewrite reality. But Pam Bondi wasn't playing defense. She went on offense. What we saw wasn't just a clash of personalities, it was the difference between political theater and actual truth. Schiff threw out an accusation designed to wound, the so-called $50,000 bribe. But Bondi countered with facts, composure, and precision. That's what real leadership looks like. And here's the deeper point. Democrats like Schiff don't launch these narratives because they have proof. They do it because they count on repetition to replace reality. The goal isn't justice, it's headlines. It's perception warfare. Bondi exposed that tactic right in front of the cameras by refusing to react emotionally. She didn't shout. She dismantled. When you've got one side obsessed with optics and another grounded in accountability, moments like this make the truth impossible to hide. Schiff tried to grandstand. Bondi brought substance. And that's exactly why his strategy collapsed in real time.
Madam Chair, Attorney General Bondi, at your confirmation hearing in January, made a clear commitment you would not politicize your position. We are here today at your first oversight hearing 9 months into your tenure, at a time when hundreds of career prosecutors have quit because they were required to take unethical actions at odds with that promise, or feared that they would have to take such actions if they remained on the job. When over 1,000 former federal prosecutors have sounded the alarm about the unprecedented degree to which the powers of DOJ are being abused to go after the president's enemies. I approach this hearing with a heavy heart. As a former federal prosecutor myself, I served in a department that, whether it was under a Democratic or Republican president, would never use the office to go after the president's enemies or to hide the corruption of his friends. But today, the Justice Department has been used to cover up the possible corruption of the mayor of New York or of a high-level administration official taking $50,000 reportedly in cash in a bag, or a child sex predator who befriended the president and some of his cabinet members. And instead of preventing partisan weaponization, your department has engaged in a brazenly political prosecution at the president's explicit direction. The department has become President Trump's personal sword and shield to go after his ever-growing list of political enemies and to protect himself, his allies, and associates. My questions therefore focus on these two themes: hiding the corrupt acts of his friends and prioritizing the political prosecution of his enemies. So let me start with the shocking allegations of bribery and pay to play. 2 weeks ago, 4 major media outlets reported that Tom Homan, the president's top deportation official working in the White House, took $50,000 in cash in a bag from undercover FBI agents in September 2024, just over a year ago. According to these reports, Homan indicated he would facilitate securing contracts in exchange for money once he was in office in a future Trump administration. Reportedly, this exchange was caught on tape. Rather than pursue this investigation without fear or favor, the department and the FBI under your leadership or that of your predecessor before you confirmed quietly shut it down. Once news broke, your deputy and FBI director issued a joint public statement confirming that the Trump administration closed the investigation. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt denied Homan took the $50,000, telling a reporter, quote, "Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight." So today I hope you can help us get our facts straight. Was that true, what the White House Press Secretary said when she denied Homan took the money? Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, as I stated earlier, I was not in office. I was not confirmed when that was handled.
So does that mean...
Deputy Attorney General Blanche and Director Patel said that there was no evidence that Tom Homan committed a crime. Yet now you're putting his picture up to slander him.
No, I'm putting his picture up showing an interview he gave with, I think, Fox, in which he was asked explicitly about these allegations that he took a $50,000 bribe, and he refused to answer. He said he didn't answer the question whether he took the money, so I'm asking you the question. Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, I answered that question multiple times, and frankly, you know...
Well, I don't think, with respect, I don't think you did, but in case I just didn't hear you, what is the answer? Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, that happened prior to my confirmation as Attorney General.
Do you know,
I said that.
Do you know, sitting here, whether he took the money?
All I know is that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and FBI Director Patel said there was no case. And Caroline Leavitt is one of the most trustworthy human beings I know.
So
and,
was she,
Senator Schiff, if you worked for me, you would have been fired because you were censured by Congress for lying with your egregious...
You can stipulate to all your personal attacks on the Democratic members of the committee.
Personal attacks? You've been attacking my FBI director. You've been attacking my office. You've been attacking...
What we're interested in...
borders are.
What we're interesed in is the answer to these oversight questions.
You want your
you were asked by my colleague. You were asked by my colleague
attacking good people.
Regular order, Madam Chair, so I can ask a question. You were asked by my colleague from Vermont whether you will support providing a video or audio tape, if it exists, of Mr. Homan taking $50,000 in bribe money from the FBI. Will you support a request by this committee to provide that tape or tapes to the committee? Yes or no?
Senator Schiff, you can talk to Director Patel about that.
Well, I'm talking to you about it. You're the Attorney General. This will be your decision. Will you support?
You don't have to tell me what is my decision and what is not my decision. I said you can talk to Director Patel.
You don't have to try to.
You think you've got a gotcha with Tom Homan, our borders are.
Excuse me.
Who's been out there fighting for our country since Donald Trump took office.
I'm trying to ask a question. Regular order, please. And you don't have to defer to the FBI director to pass the buck. So I'm asking you, will you support a request so that the committee, or indeed I believe the American people, should be able to see that video or audio tape? Will you support that request?
Will you apologize to Donald Trump for trying to impeach him?
I guess the answer is you won't support that request.
After you now know that Joe Biden tried to cover up Hunter Biden's involvement with Ukraine.
Let me do this, because I think it's valuable that the American people get a sense of what you've refused to answer today. So these are just some of the questions you refused to answer, or have answered with personal attacks on members of this committee. You were asked whether you consulted with career ethics lawyers, as you promised you would do during your nomination hearing, when you approved the president receiving a $400 million gift from the Qataris. You refused to answer that question. You were asked who or what role you may have played, or who played the role in asking that Trump's name be flagged in any of the Epstein documents gathered by the FBI. You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether Homan kept the $50,000 bribe money. You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether Homan paid taxes on the $50,000 bribe money. You refused to answer that question. You were asked, did career prosecutors find insufficient evidence to charge James Comey? You refused to answer that question. You were asked, how are military strikes on these boats in the Caribbean legal? And you refused to even answer that question.
You were asked, a law degree,
excuse me. You were asked, did you discuss indicting James Comey with the president? You refused to answer that question. You were asked, did you approve the firing of antitrust lawyers who disagreed with the Hewlett-Packard merger? You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether you support a restoration fund for violent insurrections to attack the Capitol on January 6th. You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether you were firing career professionals, career prosecutors, just because they worked on January 6th investigations. You refused to answer that question. You were asked by my California colleague whether you believe government officials, like immigration officials, have to abide by court orders. You wouldn't even answer that question. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing.
Oversight?
Excuse me, you can attack me after my time is over.
You've attacked all of us, including President Trump, for your entire career.
You can attack me later, and I know you've got plenty of canned attacks. We've heard them all day to day.
Canned attacks on you?
This is supposed to be...
No one needs a canned attack on you.
Regular order, Madam Chair. I'm trying to speak. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing of the Justice Department. And it comes in the wake of an indictment called for by the president of one of his enemies. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing, and it comes in the wake of revelations that a top administration official took $50,000 in a bag, and this department made that investigation go away. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing when dozens of prosecutors have been fired simply because they worked on cases investigating the former president. This is, and now the current president.
What about the fires in California?
And
Do you
this
care
is
about that,
supposed to
Senator
be,
Schiff?
this is supposed to be an oversight hearing in which members of Congress can get serious answers to serious questions about
the riots in LA serious?
About the cover-up of corruption, about the prosecution of the president's enemies. And
I think you owe the president an apology.
When will it be
your entire career, frankly.
that the members of this committee on a bipartisan basis demand answers to those questions and refuse to accept
Clearly you're a failed lawyer because you don't understand when someone can and cannot answer a question.
Refuse to accept personal slander as an answer to those questions.
Personal slander?
With
Will
that,
you
Madam
apologize
Chair,
to Donald
I yield
Trump
back.
for slandering him? Personal slander.
Senator Bribe.
May I ask unanimous consent, Madam Chair, to introduce into the record the statement of 1,000 former Justice Department officials who warned that the Comey indictment is a democracy-threatening abuse of power. May I also request unanimous consent for the introduction into the record of 282 former career officials at the Justice Department raising an alarm who were voluntarily or involuntarily forced to leave the department because of improper actions taken by the Department of Justice. May I introduce, with unanimous consent, the Justice Department manual that talks about when initiating and declining charges are subject to impermissible considerations. And finally, Madam Chair, may I introduce the letter from Michael Ben-Ari, a career counterterrorism prosecutor, DOJ, a letter he nailed to his door, which concludes by urging officials to do the right thing for the right reasons, to follow the facts and the law, and raises the alarm that the decision to remove experienced career officials from U.S. attorneys' offices, the FBI, and critical parts of DOJ undermines our country's abilities to counter terrorist organizations, malign nation-state actors, and countless others that seek to harm our nation and its citizens. And he believes that the priority is prosecuting the president's
arguing, or are you admitting
rather than
Ms.
protecting
Bondi,
the country.
one moment.
May I have unanimous consent to enter these into the record?
Without objection?
Thank you. I yield back.
Senator Bribe.
Senator Moody, may I clarify one thing he entered in the record? I just want to say that I believe he entered a letter by 200 and something former employees. Well, I believe the spokesperson for that letter was also the spokesperson for Jack Smith.
Senator Bribe.
All right, let's slow this down and look at what actually just happened. Schiff came in swinging, trying to perform for the cameras. The long pauses, the heavy sighs, the concerned tone. That wasn't oversight, that was acting. Meanwhile, Pam Bondi didn't flinch once. No panic, no performance, just quiet precision. She let him burn through his own theatrics and then hit back with clarity, not emotion. That's how you separate the adults from the opportunists. Here's what no one on CNN will tell you. Schiff wasn't asking questions to find truth. He was framing a story to imply guilt. Every line was loaded with presumption. Everyone knows. Sources are saying. It's the same manipulative structure we've seen for years. Start with an accusation, bury it in moral language, and hope the repetition sticks. That's not justice. That's narrative laundering. Bondi's refusal to take the bait exposed the whole trick. You can almost script it at this point. Dangle a phantom tape, tease a forthcoming revelation, and then vanish behind the phrase, ongoing investigation. Classic Washington illusion. But Bondi flipped the script. She went procedural. She didn't get angry. She got factual. She cited record, jurisdiction, and due process. When someone's throwing mud, the best move isn't to throw it back. It's to let them exhaust themselves while you stand in the sunlight. And here's the irony. The same people screaming about weaponization are the ones turning hearings into campaign commercials. They claim to defend democracy while orchestrating political theater in the name of accountability. Schiff doesn't want transparency. He wants a soundbite. He wants to clip 15 seconds of outrage for Twitter and pretend that's proof. It's not. It's propaganda with lighting and a podium. Bondi's calm dismantled that illusion. When one side is yelling and the other is steady, viewers notice. The power of composure is underrated, especially in a culture addicted to chaos. Republicans don't need to shout to win an argument, they just need to show contrast. Calm under fire is credibility. That's why Bondi's approach landed so hard. The louder Schiff got, the smaller he looked. What we're watching here isn't just a fight over facts, it's a fight over standards. When process dies, tyranny fills the vacuum. You can't demand justice for one party while torching the safeguards that protect everyone. That's how you end up with a government that punishes based on politics instead of principle. Schiff and his allies think short-term. Bondi thinks constitutional. That's the real divide. And if we're honest, this isn't about one accusation or one hearing. It's about deterrence. Make every Republican who dares to serve feel radioactive. Smear their allies, intimidate their staff, freeze their donors. The goal isn't conviction, it's corrosion. You don't have to destroy a movement if you can scare good people out of joining it. But here's the part that should encourage you. It's not working anymore. Americans are seeing through it. People are waking up to the difference between accountability and ambush, between justice and narrative warfare. Schiff's theatrics looked like desperation. Bondi's composure looked like leadership. And that's why this moment matters. When truth is calm and lies are loud, time always sides with truth. So here's the takeaway. Stay disciplined. Stay factual. Stay principled. Keep receipts. Demand dates, sources, and specifics. The louder the performance gets, the quieter you stay. Because composure is what makes hysteria implode. This wasn't the DOJ winning a round. This was the smear machine hitting a wall. And the wall didn't blink. That's the energy Republicans need to carry into every fight ahead.